welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber King of the Depths, and this is Sultai up the Beanstalk. Before we get into the deck, I will qualify that the weather outside my house is crazy at the time of this recording. We have like a crazy wind and thunderstorm. My apologies if any crazy sounds make it onto the recording, and if I lose power, I will of course do my best. But here we go. Up the Beanstalk, of course, a beloved BoshNRoll card. When it enters or when you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, draw a card. Legacy's full of cards that cost 5 or more, but you don't really spend 5 on them, like Force of Will being the poster child. Force of Will cantripping makes it pretty busted. Murktide Regent, already a premier threat in the format, pretty busted if it's a cantrip too. And then there are some other cards, a little more creative. This was inspired partially by the standard decks that exist. Up the Beanstalk is legal in standard right now. And there is an engine with This Town Ain't Big Enough. This is a 5 mana spell, bounce 2 non-land permanents, and it costs 3 less if it targets a permanent you control. That means you could do something like bounce your opponent's Murktide Regent and your own Up the Beanstalk. You draw a card when you cast This Town, then you draw a card when you replay the Beanstalk. You could bounce your own Brazen Borrower and set up another bounce for later. You could bounce your Eddie Merc Crab, another card from the standard deck. When this enters, tap 2 target creatures. If it's not your turn when it entered, it's tapped, and it costs 1 less for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. Bouncing this with This Town could lock down combat for 2 or 3 turns in a row. Pretty exciting. This deck doesn't have the full engine that the standard deck has. There is Storm Chaser's Talent, I believe is what it's called. It's enchantment for 1. And when it enters, you make a 1/1 otter with prowess, and then for 4, you can buy back a spell from your graveyard. And that deck uses This Town with Up the Beanstalk, bounce one of your opponent's stuff, bounce your own Storm Chaser's Talent, then make another otter, level up the talent, get This Town back, and you're drawing cards all throughout. That's kind of the end game there. We don't have that. Unfortunately, This Town can't target Mystic Sanctuary because it's a land. But Legacy's more about speed and tempo, and it's a faster format, more powerful format. Hopefully 1 or 2 of these gets the job done. We've got Tamiyo as early, air quotes, pressure, just something your opponent has to think about even though it's not actually dealing damage. Thought Scour, aka Dark Ritual with a cantrip on it. Mill 2 cards, this gasses up your graveyard for the juice, the top end. Brainstorm obviously just puts itself in the graveyard while having velocity, combos with Tamiyo. Up the Beanstalk could also combo with Tamiyo if you have enough triggers in a turn. And the goal here is to stick one of these big O's and get the game won while you have more cards than your opponent. This deck is insanely weak to Graveyard Hate. It's pretty weak to Pyroblast. It's pretty solid versus Blood Moon. It seems pretty solid versus Chalice of the Void as well. You support a lot of forces or combo matchups. This is going to be a balls to the wall experience where we just throw our cards down and hope to deal 20 damage before the opponent figures it out. There is no like crushing end game here, but that's fine with me. Let's get into it. This is Simic Beans. I realized when doing a little editing between the deck tech and round 1 that I called this Sultai Beanstalk when it's clearly Simic in the deck tech. Shout out to everyone who asked where the black cards are or said Surgical and Fairy Macabre shouldn't count as black cards. Thanks for the engagement. I'm on the draw in round 1 versus Unrealistic. I played against this person the other day and they were on bonus round Ruby Storm, and 100% of their posted MTGO results are on Ruby Storm or the Epic Gamble. For those reasons, I am not going to keep this hand, even though this hand is exactly what I want to be doing. Like Cycle Lorien off Wasteland for Trop, play Beanstalk, get in. But having some sense of the matchup. And even this, I will keep this, even though it's a tap land and no route to a second land. I think I'm going to bottom collect or analyze the Pollen. As much as I would love a basic land card here, I don't have the green to get it off the ground. If I have green, I have Beanstalk, then we're good. Okay. A single force does not beat Ruby Storm. That's one of the strengths of Ruby compared to other combo decks you could play. They are hyper resilient. Oh, a swamp. It's not Ruby Storm. We've been tricked. Now the test of should I have forced the ritual comes through. Him to Turok. All right, well, I will force this pitching Brazen Borrower. I want Murktide Regent to win the game eventually. Are you just on Pox today? What's going on? Raven's Crime. All right. A gamer. I will discard Murktide Regent. I have faith in Up the Beanstalk, perhaps. Oh, Black Pox. Well, they got me good. My first hand would have been great against this. Okay, a Daze is interesting. That's Insulation versus Smallpox. Their first turn cost us both 3 cards. They went Dark Ritual, Hymn to Turok, Raven's Crime, and I went Force pitching a card, discard Murktide. So we're at parity currently, or whatever can be described as parity when you're against Pox. I actually love when MTGO grinders do this, when they have a name and a posted history and they just do some other shit. Okay, I don't need to fight over the rack. It's currently dealing 0 to me. And my plan is to keep my handful of cards forever. Okay. Wasteland, Tameo. This does leave me taking 1 damage to the rack, but I think getting the land into play matters. Now if they go land Smallpox, I'm fucked. If they just Smallpox, I daze it, and then I take nothing from the rack. Urborg. I can waste that. 2 cards left in hand. This is going to be a big moment to have something like Smallpox versus something like Liliana. If I can daze their action here, I am in great shape. If not, I'm in big trouble. Daze the action. I think I just described dazing as if daze isn't a card. Like dazing an opponent puts the daze still in my hand. I am going to take 1 from the rack here. And I don't need to wasteland right now. I can see what my turn brings. Dismember. I'm going to attack. I am going to waste. And I am going to play my land. I think keeping them off of functionality is more important than me having lands. Like, if I get wastelanded here, that's fine. I'm still just chunking with Tameo. I need to draw a land to play the game anyway. And Moment of Truth, what's your last card? Is it good? And there's a bit of a non-bow going on where screwing me off the ability to play cards makes the rack worse. They need to resolve a discard engine. This Tameo is not doing anything, though. These clues are not useful until I can start cracking them. Urza Saga, gross. Okay, now I'm in some trouble. And a 3-drop? Alright, I'm ready to concede. Man, alright, yeah, mulling a perfectly functional hand, thinking they're one thing and being got by Pox. I love it. Well done, opponent. Okay, Commandeer. I could spend 3 cards to hit them with their own Hymn to Turok. I could gain control of their Liliana. That all assumes I'm ever going to have 3 cards in my hand to do this with, which is a big ask. Much of their removal is edicts, so I don't think True Name's the solution here. Consigned to Memory can counter the rack, but who cares? That's not what I lose to. And True Name is a beater that I can cast for less than exiling my whole graveyard. I don't think I really need Dismembers here. I'm going to bring in Commandeer and True Name. If they play something like Barrowgoyf, I have This Town and Brazen Borrower and Force of Will and Eddie Crab to try to tempo through it. Okay. An exciting start to the league. Now I know what I'm playing against. I will keep this hand. There is not a forest in the deck, and I believe that is correct to construct your deck that way. Which means I can fetch my basic island with either of these fetch lands. Swamp, pass. I'm going to play Polluted Delta before combat. And then I will pass into their turn. I'm going to fetch in the upkeep. If they have Opposition Agent, I want to daze it on their turn. I don't need this Analyze the Pollen for a while. I'm just going to get a basic island. Play around the wastelands we know they have. A second land. This could represent Bowmaster. All right, just drawing cards. It's not a Bowmaster. Attack with Tameo. Hedge Maze. Thought Scour I actually like. And I'll pass. This slow start is a little scary. If they're playing around Daze, like if they just make their 3rd land and cast Hymn to Turok, I'm going to have to hardcast and then also altcast Daze. That does put a bunch of spells in my graveyard, though, for Murktide. The Analyze the Pollen actually doesn't work now because I fetched all my basics. I should have thought about that. Yeah, I've not played with this card before, and with only 2 basic lands in the list, I should have just leaned into the Wasteland and left a target for that. So now that doesn't do anything unless I can collect evidence. Collect evidence for you legacy players who didn't have to draft or play standard with this is you can exile cards with this total mana value from your graveyard when you cast the spell, and it wants 8. It gets a basic land for a green, and if you collect evidence, you can get any land or a creature. Classic Traverse the Ulvenwald variant. A Wasteland. Hymn to Turok. Okay. I am going to daze this, picking up my Hedge Maze so they can't waste it. Got them. And then I'll hardcast Daze. Let this Daze resolve first. Make sure they pay their taxes before I reveal what I'm up to. All right. Cast Daze on that one. And if this Thought Scour hits untapped land or another cantrip, Tamiyo can flip this turn. I will scour myself first. Up the Beanstalk. Oh, we're so close. Tough crowd. This town ain't big enough. Do I want to bin that? Yeah, I think just spells in my graveyard are useful here. And this face-up Wasteland's kind of a bummer. I did hit all spells off that Thought Scour, though. That's good news. My whole deck cares about that. And we're up against an interesting deck building question here of do you put a basic forest in this deck? This is functionally a mono blue deck with Up the Beanstalk in it. And it's also a Daze deck, which gives a lot of friction to the idea of playing lands that aren't islands. But in exactly a spot like this, I would have loved a forest. All right, Tamiyo's dead. You had your shot to not be dead to Liliana, and you blew it. You dumb idiot. Okay, go to my turn. Fetch land? Oh, Tamiyo. Well, I'm not playing a Tamiyo here. I think I actually want to Eddy Merc Crab, which is a little crazy, but let's game. Like, if they have another Liliana or some sorcery speed thing, I don't think they're going to play around Eddy Merc Crab. I think it's a safe bet to say that. Saga. If Liliana pluses, I'll just discard Analyze the Pollen. There goes the plus. Discarded a second Wasteland. Good to see that go. Smallpox. Fuck. All right, well, I guess I just float a blue and then let Smallpox resolve. And then play the crab. Okay. Smallpox resolves. They tapped out of black to do this. Having the Mishra's Factory does leave a blocker in play to protect Liliana, but it'll cost you a land to do that. I'm going to discard Ethereal Forager. I think that's the worst card in my hand right now. I'll sacrifice this tapped island. There's no reason to do this, but I hope they fire at Mishra's Factory. Okay, they cast a spell. Good. Just doing anything that doesn't let this factory block my crab is great. Cacao! Tap up to 2 target creatures. I'll tap my own crab. That'll show you. Okay, I take 0. I draw green source. A Wasteland. That's not bad. I'm going to attack Liliana. I'm going to waste Urza Saga and play Tamiyo. And now a new game plan emerges where I have a 5/5 and they don't. Tempo Gaming. Eddy Merc Crab. If I had played the Murktide or the Ethereal Forager, that Smallpox would have wiped me off the earth. Who would have thought deploying a creature at flash speed instead of sorcery speed would be an upgrade? They got 1 card left. Lands are good draws for me. True name Nemesis. Not a great draw, but it's fine. Mishra's Factory is a 3/3 on defense. It can tap to buff itself. That's still way too small to beat my crab. And I'm insulated against Edict effects right now because Tamiyo's over here. I can just sack that. All right, they drew a land, and now they suddenly have a spell. Oh, they're just doing damage. That's fine. F6. If you're not blocking, you might as well attack. Those are just good magic fundamentals. This Scalding Tarn is big news. I am actually just going to shove the Murktide and make sure my opponent's dead, rather than mess around with Up the Beanstalk here. Ka-chow. Okay. They did some POC stuff for a while, and then I broke through it. If they played Damnation right now, they got me real good. Okay. Sick. Harbinger of the Seas is an answer to Urza Saga, which is a card I have some concern about. Consigned to Memory is a pseudo-answer. Echoing Truth might actually be good enough here. It can clear any number of construct tokens, or just bounce some garbage like Liliana. And there's this cool thing where if the Pox player is in the game state that they want, where both players are hellbent and they're plussing Liliana, if you bounce Liliana, she has to discard herself in response to her own ability. Okay, Echoing Truth is good enough. It should have been in the first time. I think Analyze the Pollen's a little wonky, even though it is functionally a land in the early game, which is good, but it encourages me to fetch a green source, which is bad. Okay, I think I can live without Analyze the Pollen. I still got one. Okay, Keeper. Soft Wasteland, but nothing I can do about that. Unless I draw a basic island. Did not draw a basic island. Okay. I want to play Tropical Island and pass, even though this does open me up to Wasteland. I could play my own Wasteland and then be more likely to get a up the Beanstalk. Okay, so they had the Wasteland. Now I have the option of Thought Scour, Brainstorm, or I could daze my own spell, which million for one's myself. I think I just want to Brainstorm here. Just finding an island is good, and if they respond with a spell, all right, cool, we did it. I'm going to put back this town and Beanstalk, and then this is just going to happen. Dark Ritual, uh-oh. They did it in the right order. Played around Daze. Uh-oh, don't take my Misty. Oh, no! I could have stacked that on top and played around it. All right, I have a Lorien Revealed that survived the apocalypse. Drawing Beanstalk, pass. Mishra's Factory. Okay. Don't opposition agent me, and we'll be fine. Drop. And for the first time in 3 games, the card Up the Beanstalk reveals itself to be in my deck, along with every Daze that I play. Another Factory. They could attack for 3 here, if that's the best thing they got. Okay, firing it up. Oh no, they did it backwards. Or no, yeah. Shit. Yeah, this is just a misclick. Summoning Sick, newly controlled. It is really annoying. The tools are there that this doesn't happen, but it is like one of the least fun things to try to navigate on Magic Online. Which of your creature lands has Summoning Sickness? Okay, a land would be a great draw. Hey, pow, 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 pow. I could actually Analyze the Pollen if I want another Tropical Island here. I don't think I do. Or 3, 5, 6, 7. I was actually 1 short anyway. I'm glad I didn't want it. I didn't want it anyway. I am going to cast no spells here because I'm currently representing double Daze, hard cast and bounce cast, or triple Daze, hard cast, bounce, where Thought Scouring in my main phase doesn't do anything. I fired up the truck. We're just firing up both trucks. Okay. I'm going to Wasteland one of these. They could be doing this just because they don't have any other plan, or they could be doing this because they're sandbagging an Urza Saga and want to flush out my Wasteland. I Thought Scour myself just to double check my options, but I am going to cut the pressure in half here. Okay, a Murktide, an Ethereal Forager, an Eddy Murk Crab. We are in the zone where these cards matter now. Another Wasteland, okay. I was not tricked off of the Urza Saga. I'm just going to start dropping Brazen Borrowers this turn. If they just fire up Factory and attack again, I will just commit to the race. Hey, there's that shit. I could waste it now and make Daze better, but I have so many Dazes. They fired up the truck. I will not be responding at this time. 2 damage gets in, that's fine. I'm on an 8-turn clock, they're on a 7-turn clock. Brazen Borrower in creature mode. Another Beanstalk, keep them coming. Hit the goods. Another Wasteland, you don't say. Bonk. Okay, now I feel really good. I'm just going to waste this before it knows how to make mana. That's going to be my Wasteland target anyway. And if this plays around Daze on a Liliana or something, I'll take it. Them having 1 mana here when I have 2 Dazes in my hand is actually really important. Fired up the Factory, continued the race. Come on, something that triggers Up the Beanstalk. Please and thank you. Oh my god. I mean, technically. Wise guy. I'm going to cycle Lorien Revealed for another Trop. Already exposed to Wasteland, it's fine. And now I'm showing triple Daze again. The Locthwain. This deals 4 to them if they want to draw a card. I think the Castle Locthwain might be the worst card in terms of decks I have put it in versus decks I've actually activated in all Magic cards of the last, 6 years. Okay, here we go. Now the ship has left the station. This Force of Will, double cantrip. I'm basically worried about nothing. Brazen Borrower is going to double the clock this turn. Force Pitch a Daze, also Daze, also Daze. If they activate this Locthwain, they're just at 7. I could bounce the rack and make it worse, but it'll do more damage if I play Brazen Borrower. After having a phenomenal Pox game 1 where like when Mono Black's Pox just rolls out, it looks unbeatable. Now we're having the opposite experience of sometimes you just draw some swamps and shit and you lose. The fourth days. Anish Mirko. Okay. They look pretty dead to me. Firing up the factory. Gotta keep those chunks chunking. Brazen Borrower. You're in there. Opponent's at 1. I've still taken 0 from the rack that was played the first turn of this game. Attack. I didn't board in my gut shots. I'm not drawing live to kill them right now. I'm casting a Murktide, exiling 0 spells, because there are cards in my deck that care about spells. But there are no cards in my deck. Or they're at 1, so like it doesn't matter how big my Murktide is. Okay, they're scooping before I could get my Mystic Sanctuary and put Force Will on top of the deck. Alright. That was a really fun match. I love Pox. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in round 2 with a hand that has multiple routes to Beanstalk here. I can play my Trop, immediately tutor. Oh, I'm on the draw. Same story applies, though. Okay. Hit that heralds the end. I'm not going to fight over that shithead. I think I am just going to wasteland them, though. Trying to get up under them on their mana makes more sense to me than trying to compete with their 4-drops right away. Yavimaya! Don't mind if I do. There are builds of this deck, the Simic Beanstalk deck, that play Yavimaya and Submerge, so they can submerge any creature, which I think are cool, but also, whatever. Do I want to analyze the pollen for Murktide? I might. I think I'm going to use Lorien Revealed here, rather than analyze the pollen to get my next land, because 2 Loriens will get me into the evidence. Oh, don't make me counter stuff now, I'm about to Beanstalk you. Oh, if you take a turn off to play around days, I'm going to punish it so hard. Chalice on 1. That does counter my Analyze the Pollen. What are my asses? I have 2 This Towns, 2 Brazen Borrowers, and I have 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 1-drops in my deck. Okay, I immediately regret not doing that. Force of Negation doesn't trigger. Alright, so Force of Negation has almost no targets in the matchup and doesn't trigger Beanstalk anyway. I'm going to pitch Daze to Force of Negation and handle this. And now I have a second Lorien Revealed to pitch to the Force after I stick Beanstalk this turn, and then hopefully I can analyze Pollen for one of my hitters shortly after that. I'm already getting wastelanded. Not going to make my mana worse. Okay, Beanstalk. Keep these Beanstalking. Please don't have Cavern Souls. The second Force, like the double Bean shred through your deck endgame, is what we're looking for. Fleshraker. Well, this card kills me even if no other card ever resolves, so I better force it. I found a Chungo. How many spells are we casting this turn, opponent? Thought Not Seer. Well, that's a 2-for-1 anyway. Running out of gas here, but hopefully my opponent is close to out of gas too. Big draws. Okay, I could try to brainstorm into a land and play Beanstalk, or I could play Beanstalk, try to hit a land. I could Pollen just for a basic, which guarantees a land drop, but that is my route to a creature turned off. I think I'm going to brainstorm first. Okay, rewarded, big time. I'm going to put back... I'm probably going to wasteland them this turn and analyze for a Murktide. So I'll put back Brainstorm, and... do I actually need the second Beanstalk here? I could dump both Brainstorms and just let Beanstalk do the work. Okay, dump both Brainstorms, wasteland the Eye of Ugin, and then I'm going to analyze the Pollen Conqueso. 3, 8. Pretty nice to get 8 mana off 2 cards. And grab Murktide Regent. Or is Eddie Murk Crab bigger or better somehow? I don't think it is. Flying's worth a lot. Let's go. There's that Pollen kicking in. Opponent's got 4 mana. I can beat a Mycospawn Wasteland here because I am holding another land. Thought Not Seer would be a bummer. Okay, Kozilek's Command, exiling 2 spells from my graveyard. Okay, so they're denying me Murktide a little bit. Just slightly. And they topped their Scry 2. Hate that. Okay, I can still Murktide here. It'll just be smaller. It's a lot of Beanstalks. Okay, I think I want to fetch for Hedge Maze. Any Murk Crab. Well, I'm not casting that because Murktide's about to eat all the spells. All right, Crab to the graveyard. Murktide. Make it as big as I can. I like Brazen Borrower. I'd love another land here. And start raining Beanstalks down. Cavern of Souls. So they kept Cavern of Souls on top. I'm out of counter spells now, so that's not really the fight. But it could be someday. Ooh, is this Null Drifter? There's blue in the pool. Or a main deck Bounce Idiot. Alright, main deck Bounce Idiot is the answer. Kills my Beanstalk and my Murktide. Awful. Okay, Pollen again. I'm going to Beanstalk first. Lorien. Is there another Trop in my deck? Exile Pile. If I Lorien for Trop, then Trop for basic land, that's fine. Lorien. The Mystic Sanctuary is just going to have to wait. Trop, Pollen, get Island. Alright. And now it's down to the follow-up. I am at 4 life, and their spells are uncounterable. Oh god, red? They have the Line Breaker too. Oh, Flesh Raker. That might be worse. Okay, I'm in extreme danger. There's 2 damage over there. I'm at 2. I have to answer all 3 of these creatures this turn. Force of Will doesn't help. And I'd have to almost tap out to play this Murktide. I'm looking for this town. Thought Scour. Oh, Dark Ritual. Here we go. I drew this town, but it's too late. I needed that before this. Okay. 2 life. Yeah, the full value Wastegate Battle Mage in game 1 is some shit. True Name Nemesis comes in. Harbinger of the Seas comes in. Consigned to Memory. I don't think I want Echoing Truth. Echoing Truth does answer Chalice of the Void, though. This is 5 yeses, or 4 yeses and 2 maybes. Echoing Truth and True Name are the maybes. I could cut Analyze just to soften my weakness to Chalice of the Void. Force of Negation is coming out, even though it counters Chalice of the Void. I think Daze is actually pretty bad in this matchup. I'll leave some in to keep them honest, but I need to get on board and apply damage. I think Tameo is really slow and shitty too. Okay, this is how I'm doing it. Okay, I will keep this. Leyline of the Void. Okay, so I'm close to death already. That's not true. I have my Brazen Borrower. It's fine. I am going to leave up Consign and Force and just fetch Hedge Maze this turn. Thorn of Amethyst. Well, that card's hard to beat. I will get a basic island and consign it. And hope to just draw lands naturally from here. We did it. Okay. I could stick Tameo, or I could bounce this Leyline and actually get my cards moving. I'm going to do that. Cavern. It would need some help for Thought Not Seer. Flesh Raker is in, because I can't make it not in. I am not going to introduce a wastable land to this situation that is currently mildly dire. Okay, well, we got there anyway. Alright, the Nemesis. Are you big enough? A Nemesis versus Glaring Fleshraker is just a classic power level issue. People wanted this card banned when it was first printed, and there have been discussions that include this card for banning in more recent times. It's just, fucked up 3-drops that change what the game's about. True Name ended up being okay. We'll see on Glaring Fleshraker. Oh, post-combat Line Breaker. Good stuff. But they are just the full 4, maybe 5 color Eldrazi pile. They let me untap even though they have Wasteland, despite seeing a face-up Brazen Borrower. I think I cannot afford to attack, unfortunately. Not yet. This has Trample. It gives something haste and Trample. The thing does die, but they can just pile onto their spawns or cast something bigger. They're clearly going to use all their mana this turn, or they would have wasted me last turn. Sowing Mycospawn, full kicking. And as always, it is in fact a full kicking. Exile my basic island. Search for Eye of Ugin. Get another 1/1, or 0/1, or 4/1 Trample Haste. Okay, float again. Fetch for drop, I guess. I'm already fully exposed at this point. Okay. Might as well send the spawn in, deal its damage, unless there's a better attack. All right, Myco spawn will hit me for about 150 here, but at least it's dead. Okay, what are we even doing here? Tamio can block. They're on a 2-turn clock. I can't get this Ethereal Forager into play. I'm 1 short. Okay, I will just fire in the 6 damage that I have and hope that Tamio's ass can keep me alive. 1 short on that Forager. The Leyline of the Void did just what it needed to. One of the cards in their hand is still that Leyline, though. Oh no. Red in the pool. The second line breaker? Alright. We're very, very dead. You got me. And once again, playing against Eldrazi, no fun was had. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 3, playing against Magic Dads for, I feel like, the 3rd time in 2 days. We must keep similar hours. Magic Dads has been on Turbo Reanimator every time I've ever played against him. So we'll see if that's true. My hand's good if that is the case, and my hand's good if that's not the case. Blue to Delta, and I'm all 6. My mask! Okay. Unmask me. Unmask pitching, unmask. Now you know what I look like. And you know there's 2 forces behind these eyes. Now there's 1. It's like they force of willed themselves. Went down 2 cards to remove 1 of mine. Alright, 2 cards left in that hand. Well, I mean, this is where we fight, right? Of course, I'm actually gonna... Or no. Alright, I will pitch Brazen Borrower. I was about to say I'm gonna pitch Brainstorm, but Brainstorm plus Tamio is so powerful. The Eddie Merc. Straight up Mercing it. Alright, if this hand is a 2nd Entomb right now, but I think my opponent would have sent it in the main phase. And let's hope they're just in garbage time, and I can dig through this. Attack with Tamio. Get my clue on the house. Brainstorm. I'm not playing my land first in case I draw Wasteland. That looks really good here. Sanctuary's out, and Murktide versus Eddie Merc. There's a lot of Merkin going on. Maybe it's just the lands. Yeah, I'll put 2 lands back. I got lands. Plus Tamio. Misty. Ship it. I'll fetch Hedge Maze this turn. Another land. Okay, they didn't do anything on previous turns with their 2 mana. Okay, Raucous Theater makes sense. This could be a build your own Entomb if they spike it. Oh god, they spiked it! Fuck, 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 fuck! Jesus Christ. Alright, well, play to your outs. Well, now I'm dead. And the more monsters you play, like Black-Red Turbo Reanimator gets rewarded for this more than Dimir Hybrid Tempo Reanimator does. Still feels like bullshit when it happens, though. Okay, they took Petal, Entomb, Delta, Reanimate, Grizzlebrand. There's the Petal. They're now playing around Daze, kind of. Dark Ritual was the unknown. Now they have Daze beat. And now I'm also going to get hit with Archon of Cruelty or a Grizzlebrand. Yeah, I don't need to see more. RNGesus, take the wheel. Okay. Fairy Macabre comes in. Surgical comes in. I don't really like Hydroblast. That counter is Faithless Looting, which could be an important card. I could commandeer their Entomb. Honestly, commandeering a Reanimate sounds fucking busted, so I'm in for that. Echoing Truth could remove a monster if they're on kind of a thin line, if it's like bounce attracts in response to a trigger. But as we saw that game, my opponent's build is built that if they look at 7 cards off a Grizzlebrand or 10 cards off an Attract, they should be able to send another monster. Okay, I don't think I need to be analyzing Pollen. That's pretty slow. Dismember doesn't do anything. Echoing Truth is a blue card with some utility. Is there a non-blue card or a blue card with less utility around? I don't think so. Consign to Memory can counter an Atraxa trigger or an Animate Dead. I don't think that's enough to bring it in here. My deck already has a bunch of bounce. I have Brazen Borrower and this town, and really my goal is to make it so they don't have a monster. Okay, here we go. Wow, alright. I mean, shields are up, but I'm not doing anything. I'm going to keep. I just need a land. Preferably one that is green. But I will chill on this for a minute. Delta, Petal. It kept 7 this time. Thoughtseize, okay, have a look. This might take up the Beanstalk, depending on how my opponent wants to approach this matchup. If they think they can get through the double force after the Thoughtseize before this Beanstalk comes online, that makes sense. If they think they have to grind through all 3 forces the hard way, they should take Beanstalk. Okay, they are working through the forces. Green source off the top, easy game. Easy game. Cycle Lorien. Get that Hedge Maze. This does make days worse by getting this tap land. Alright, now it's fine. I'll keep Tropical Island on top, just in case. Polluted Delta. And passing the turn. We like passing the turn. Island. Now the option is leave up Wasteland to clip Raucous Theater if they go for it, or leave up blue in case I draw Spell Pierce. And I'm going to leave up Wasteland. There is no red source. There's no basic red source that blue to Delta can get. That's just how fetch lands work. So if they are working with if they need the Surveil, or if they're working with a Faithless Looting, leaving up Wasteland gives me something here. Let's see if they build their own uncounterable Entomb again. All right, just going for basics. That's fine. Entomb. Well, I don't want that to happen. Force pitching Daze, or pitching this town. This town's my next trigger. All right, force pitching Daze. Get the rebuy. Interesting they didn't Entomb in response to up the Beanstalk. This would have cost me a card. Unmasked targeting me. Okay, so I'm dead anyway. Fair enough. Pitching Grizzlebrand. My hand does have 2 bounce spells in it. If their hand is like Show and Tell for Archon of Cruelty, I actually can beat that with my hand still. If they Entomb Reanimate a Grizzlebrand, I'm probably just out of gas. Ooh, blue in the pool. Okay. What's happening here? Show and Tell. I will put in Scalding Tarn, which can cast my bounce spells, and see who my enemy is. It's Grizzlebrand. Okay. This deck doesn't have counter spells in it, so go ahead, draw whatever you're going to draw, and we'll see what's left over. It went down to 2. I don't have a Dryad Arbor I can fetch, and Scalding Tarn wouldn't get it anyway. Raucous Theater from hand. Enters tapped is nice. Okay, so I think I should bounce. Oh, I'm definitely bouncing Grizzlebrand. It's just how. If I bounce Grizzlebrand with this town, I pick up the Beanstalk and I draw a card naturally. That also lets them discard the Grizzlebrand. I think this is the best way to do this. If I had an extra mana, I would flash in Brazen Borrower the body and then bounce Grizzlebrand and then I win. But I don't have those things. And now they discard 8 cards, including Grizzlebrand. And I'm in the market for a Fairy Macabre, which may or may not be enough to beat this 15-card hand. The discard is Creation of Avacyn X2, Thoughtseize, Grizzlebrand, Reanimate. Okay, draw for turn, Brainstorm. That sees a lot of cards. I'm going to up the Beanstalk first, then Brainstorm. Yikes, this did not go anywhere. No interaction, no graveyard hate, no more redraws. All right, I have one more redraw. Okay. Put back Wasteland and Tameo, and then play Murktide and hope to draw a Fairy Macabre. Ooh, there's a Force of Will in my graveyard that I could put on top and then draw. Okay, I think that's fine. Get Force of Will on top of the deck. Do I think Force of Will by itself is going to beat this 7-card hand? No, of course not. But it's the same redraw as if I just didn't do that. Like force pitching something triggers Beanstalk, which then might be Surgical or Fairy Macabre. It's the same draw. I literally will see the same card, except I get 1 extra layer of protection. And it's a guaranteed layer versus just a hope it's there. Dark Ritual. Dark Ritual. Or just casting an Archon of Cruelty. Not into my Force of Will that you know about, that's for sure. Rit. Okay, hardcast Grizzlebrand. Obviously, wait, hold on. I have Brazen Borrower in my hand. Okay, I was about to let that resolve, but that's interesting that that's the best they could do with 15 cards. Okay. A game 3. Do I bring a gut shot in case I get super greedy on a Grizzlebrand turn? Just boop ya. Went to 2. 2 gut shots in my deck. Gotcha. Obviously, that's crazy. I was pretty low on the Echoing Truth after game 1, but seeing what a bounce spell did that game actually matters a lot. Like, the bounce spell cleared the first Grizzlebrand, and then triple ritual second Grizzlebrand at 2 life also loses to Brazen Borrower. Maybe I do want this. Beanstalk's obviously great. I wish I could cut a Wasteland, because it's not that good of a card in the matchup, but the mana's so thin here that, especially after cutting 2 Analyze the Pollen, that I just don't want to miss a land drop on development. Do I think Echoing Truth is better than Tamiyo? I have to win the game somehow, and Tamiyo does apply a unique style of pressure. Do I think it's better than Thought Scour? Do I think it's better than Ethereal Forager? Forager kind of sucks, but if there is a matchup where this card's good, it's probably this one. If I get a window to just put Force Will back in my hand and then buy it up again, I guess I have to respect that. I could cut a Daze on the draw. My opponent's Dark Ritual Lotus Petal deck is not going to lose to Daze anyway. Okay, I'll do that. Side grade 1 of the 2 mana blue cards. Can't keep this. My opponent mulled to 6. I also mulled to 6. This 6 has a Surgical in it. Has to be good enough. Not going to go to 5, chasing 2 pieces of interaction. Even though this deck's full of discard, and I don't think this will actually win the game for me. Gotta at least put some shield up. Please cast Faithless Looting. Let's go! Okay. This at least exposes something to the Surgical. Even if I get unmasked after the Faithless Looting, this Atraxa out of here. Oh, baby. Okay, the goods are flowing now. Having played against this opponent 3 times this week, I know that they have Shallow Grave, which can go off over top of a Surgical, or an Exile effect in general. So having 2 of them is nice. Okay, I'm getting unmasked. I don't think I'm going to fight over this, because I have 2 things. Unmasked, pitching Shallow Grave, okay. Have a peek. Taking Surgical is probably better for them if there's more than 1 Atraxa in the deck. Surgical also means I don't get to look at their hand. Like, Fairy Macabre is just worse, but Fairy Macabre does take one of the Faithless Lootings with it. Yep, Surgical is the choice. And opponent's passing. Luckily, I just don't have to do anything here. I'm going to dump Lorien Revealed. Not what I'm in the market for. The Merc. The wrong Merc. I could discard Fairy Macabre, exile Atraxa, and just play Murktide Regent now and start applying pressure. I think that's a mess, though. Versus just being patient. Lotus Petal. I'm not in great shape versus a Show and Tell. And I'm not going to fetch because I do want to draw another land here. Up the Beanstalk qualifies as a card I'm happy with. Sometimes these decks play Blood Moon, and maybe this should have been a basic island to fetch around that. Played around it anyway. Easy game. Okay, now they have to beat a Fairy Macabre, and I'm going to start beaning very soon. Land Show and Tell gets me right here, though. Or if they go Dark Ritual, Reanimate in response to Fairy Macabre, Shallow Grave. Alright, well, we are testing the resolution here. Okay. The Reanimate fizzles. I took a Faithless Looting with me. They're just getting through it however they can. Force of Negation. Love to see it. And it is Murktide time. I'm actually going to pay 1 extra mana to keep Surgical in my graveyard because I do play Mystic Sanctuary. Okay, Force of Negation. The shields are up now. Doing some damage. I can put Surgical on top of my deck next turn. Entomb. Hell nah, homie. I'm going to exile this town because Brazen Borrower attacks for damage. Okay, draw for turn. It's Crab. I'm going to do the Lorien stuff first because that puts an extra damage on Murktide. Sanctuary. Target. Surgical. Maybe I'm supposed to get Force there. Just out of respect for Show and Tell. But if Show and Tell, I put in Eddie Crab, and then I cast Brazen Borrower, and we just kill them immediately. I could Surgical land out of my own graveyard, or a card out of my own graveyard for the last point of damage. Uh-oh. Are we getting shown and told? Triple black is not Show and Tell. Okay, oh, they're flashing back Faithless Looting. That's great. And they've had enough. Okay, the Trixie pieces made it through 2 out of the 3 games they needed to, onto the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the play in round 4. I'm going to keep my hand. It's got 2 mana, a Beanstalk, and then stuff to do. Opponent says, hi YouTube. Everyone say hi to Igkraj. Okay, pass the turn. I can force and daze this turn if I need to be alive. Hopefully I could just cycle my Lurin Revealed in peace. Ancient Tomb. There will be no peace here. Luckily I am playing a hand that does not need to worry about Chalice of the Void. Eventually it'll be a problem, but right now it's fine. I'll get basic island and then cycle for Trop. Tameo now is an easy pitch to a force because it's a 1-drop. Beanstalk, another Beanstalk. The more beans, the merrier. City of Traders, I'd love to daze a 1-ring here. Gromux, okay. We're not going to daze a 1-ring here. Red cards revealed. Blood Moon. That's fine. It turns off this other Beanstalk in my hand, but my deck plays plenty of cards that work still. Another Force of Will, and I will pass the turn. I can chill for a minute right now. I could end step this town, the Blood Moon, and my Beanstalk, get a bunch of draws. Now I can hardcast Daze on a 1-ring. Please cast a 4-drop, please cast a 4-drop. Broadside Bombardiers, alright. Force pitching Tameo. Lots of routes to basic island in my deck, another Force. Okay, this town is going to bounce. Ooh, bouncing Gromux is interesting. I'm going to bounce Blood Moon and up the Beanstalk. This just sees a bunch of cards. Gives me a turn to do stuff. The 4th Force of Will arrives. Okay, that's out of here. A turn to develop my other basic would be nice. Could never be true. Alright, Beanstalk, get back in. They don't know this is the other Beanstalk. And Brainstorm. Disappointing. Okay, I will discard Brainstorm. And now I think with a hand full of Murktides and Ethereal Foragers, I actually do, and 3 Force of Wills, I actually do counter the Blood Moon on the way back down. Okay, Force pitching. Do I want to Forage or Murktide here? Murktide hits harder, but Forager puts these forces and stuff back in my hand. I still have hopes for Daze. Alright, I'm going to pitch the Murktide, actually. The rarely seen me actually liking Ethereal Forager. And we found a home for this Daze beautiful stuff. That's why I didn't pitch it, because 6 mana is a critical number for my opponent to do 2 things in a turn. And sequence that beautifully, if I say so myself. Tropical Island, Ethereal Forager. Every time this attacks, you get back one of the cards it exiled, so Force of Will, this town, Lorien, and the other Force of Will. Plus I draw a card. Let's go. I got a whale full of forces. Having a whale of a time. Opponent's got 2 cards in their hand. I've got 2 forces, but no second blue card in mine. I no longer care about any lock piece. I care a lot about that. A force pitching this town. Draw a blue card. Complete demoralization. Yeah, let's go. Sorry, opponent. You were very nice. And said hi to YouTube. But I gotta do it to you. You just happened to walk into me on a Beanstalk day. Attack. Get back a force of Will. And up the Beanstalk number 2. Make sure I never run out of cards. I'm going to Wasteland City of Traders. I want it to hurt if they tap their mana. And pass. Basic Mountain. And no cards. Looks like they're running out of juice over there. Attack, put another force in my hand. Yeah, Ethereal Forager dies to a Stiff Breeze and is generally pretty terrible, but when it does its job, it is very good. I'm actually going to waste the Ancient Tomb now because I'd rather turn on Daze in my hand than worry about them killing themselves with their lands when I can actually put them to a critically low number. Sweet. True Name Nemesis, probably solid here. I like Echoing Truth. Hydroblast, obviously. This is a matchup it's for. Commandeer. Whether I control the Blood Moon or the Chalice doesn't matter. Commandeering a One Ring is busted. Can't commandeer a Pyrogoyf, unfortunately. Analyze the Pollen can play through Blood Moon, kind of. I mean, it helps with that. It's a little bit wonky, though. Daze is pretty bad. I'm into Spell Pierce. I like Tamiyo. I don't think I actually want to cut my Analyzes. Maybe one. I've got 7 fetch lands and 3 Lorien Revealed. And the 2 basics themselves. Having the basics got to be really important, though. I would strongly, strongly prefer not to have to fight over Blood Moon. Okay, I think I actually do cut the Analyzes, though, because I have to fetch into Blood Moon to play it. Analyze only actually helps me if I cast it off a naturally drawn Tropical Island. If I fetch for Trop to then Analyze, what's going on? All right. True Name, Hydroblast, Echoing Truth are in. Let's go. All right, here we go. This hand doesn't care about Blood Moon, and it ignores Chalice pretty well, too. It does not answer a Bombardier at all, but I'm going to keep. If they go like Ancient Tomb Chalice, I'll just Wasteland them. And if they basic land pass, what does that let me do? Draw Tamiyo? I did not draw Tamiyo. A Tropical Island. And now I have a brief reprieve from a creature that might resolve. Magus of the Moon's fine, which is good. It has to be because I can't answer it. Basic Island. Tamiyo, what's up, girl? Happy to see you. A turn late, but still exciting. That checks the Magus. Does not check the Bombardier. Let's see if they're willing to sack their Magus to kill Tamiyo. So I'm definitely going to block here. End step, cycle, Lorien. They still have their raid available if they want it. Like if they decide the second basic island somehow switches the interest, but it did not. Okay, I have 2 bounce spells now. I could play Wasteland, bounce Magus, waste Ancient Tomb. Maybe they don't play another card. That sounds really bad, though. I'm going to attack with Tamiyo, get my clues popping. It would be sick if they play a second Broadside Bombardier and Echoing Truth, clear 6 mana worth of cards. I am not going to interact before combat here. They can put me to 9 at any point. Fable, I'm going to force some negation that. That actually is good enough to worry about. And still nothing worth flinging. Wasteland, attack with Tamiyo. I could flip Tamiyo here, she just dies anyway. They would have to fling, though, to kill Tamiyo. Right, I'll draw with my non-blue cards. Force of Will is tempting. Okay. Tamiyo flips. Do the plus. Force of Will convinced me this is worth doing. They could deal 7 damage to me with what's on board. Or they could clear Tamiyo if they're willing to give up Magus of the Moon. Simian Spirit Guide. Okay, that's an easy fling. But it also... So this means they put 2 damage on me. They throw Spirit Guide at Tamiyo. Unless they are just going straight to the head, which would be an impressive feat. All right, nope, just taking out Tamiyo. That's fine. She did her job. She drew 2 cards and then gained me 5 life. Gave me 7 life. Okay, big draws. Another Thought Scour. I think this turn I should spend bouncing all their permanents that I'm worried about. Like I'll go at the beginning of combat, bounce Broadside, and then I can force something on the way back down, put Murktide in front of it. I don't think I could afford to worry about Fable right now when the Broadside is the thing that's actually killing me. Beginning of combat, Petty Theft, the Bombardier. I could also Echoing Truth the Magus and then Wasteland them. Echoing Truth actually looks really good here. Echoing Truth the Magus, Wasteland the Volcanic Fissure. Just doing this in combat before they come up with a Chrome Mox or some shit to just replay their cards after combat. Okay. It is now my turn. In my upkeep, there is nothing I want to buy back yet. I can Thought Scour myself and try to find some. I've got 1 Scour I can use, basically for free here. Dismember is really good. Okay, I'll draw for turn. Mystic Sanctuary's in my hand, so no rush. If I brainstorm and miss my land drop, what happens? Nothing, it's fine. Okay, I'm gonna brainstorm. Beanstalk, crab. Ooh, all right. I could settle into Beanstalk gaming here. The crab's pretty exciting. If I put back Thought Scour and Brainstorm, like this town still plays. Okay, put back Thought Scour, Brainstorm. Mystic Sanctuary, get back. I think it's Dismember. That is going to hurt, but it hurts less than Broadside Bombardier. Then I could go up the Beanstalk, draw that, and now I could dismember stuff, and I can Force of Will. I'm not worried about Magus. I'm very worried about Bombardier. If I go to 7, they can attack me to 5 with the Shaman, and then Eddie Merc Crab takes over on the following turn. Weird thing to say in Legacy. They dump the Magus and a Chrome Mox. I would have to fetch, so I'm actually at 5. Is that what I said? Okay, they're going to combat first. That's fine. What I'm worried about here is the One Ring plus Pyroblast. Okay, another Magus. There's a Brainstorm and a Thought Scour on top of my deck. Do I actually want those cards? I don't believe that I do. I'm going to Hedge Maze. Oh wait, Hedge Maze is already in the graveyard. I'm going to Tropical Island. Smart. Okay, Dismember can kill this Magus. Another Fable. I don't like it, but it's happening. And I think I am going to dismember the Magus because having Quintuple Blue up to play Murktide and Eddie Merc is a big deal. Days probably not very good. Okay, can I... How many are actually in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need to leave 5 of them there for Eddie Merc Crab to work. Murktide Regent, medium size. I'm still Merkin. I'd love a Hydroblast here, or another Force. Okay, they've got Red Elemental Blast. Wow, did they give me a Daze here? I mean, they didn't give it to me. It's just available. Daze picking up Mystic Sanctuary. Busted. Okay, that's exciting. Drew Brainstorm. A Mystic Sanctuary targeting Echoing Truth clears all these Joblins out of here. Brainstorm. Found a Wasteland. I've already played my land. Wasteland doesn't matter anymore. Put back Wasteland, and I guess I like Brainstorm enough. Okay, Wasteland and Brainstorm. Okay. Passing the turn. See how this goes. There's still a Brazen Borrower in exile. We're at the point where I got to turn the tide. Opponent has only Broadside Bombardiers in their hand to start the turn. Fable triggers. Dump to Chrome Mox. Other Fable flips. Broadside Bombardiers. I can crab this at the start of combat, or I could just force it now. All right, I'm going to force pitching this town. I think this is the card that kills me the most that I don't want to mess around with. Okay, beginning of combat. Eddie Merc Crab. Come on in. If they have to block with the Reflection, that's good. I could also bounce the Reflection. Okay, I'm going to tap both Goblin Shamans. If they get up to 4 mana and their 1 card in hand is the One Ring, I'll never forgive myself. Okay. Oh, that's a good draw. Okay. I'm going to Wasteland Volcanic Fissure first. And then I'll Petty Theft the Reflection. Maybe I'm just supposed to let them jump with that. I don't know. Magic's hard. Okay, attack with my creatures. And I can Brainstorm if there's an emergency next turn. Okay, I'm just going to pass. They're at 3. Okay, what are those cards in your hand? Hope they're bad. Literally required to Echoing Truth these or else I lose. Get them out. And if there's a Pyroglyph in the hand, we're in trouble. Oh, mana's in the pool. Oh no, I was 1 mana short. Oh, it's the One Ring. And I don't like this either, but at least it's not Pyroglyph. Okay, this resolves. And they can't tap it or they lose. So this is just... The One Ring's not so bad when they're at 1 life. Alright, deck. This is going to get tight. They can't tap the Sanction Tomb again. They can't draw a card with their One Ring. Unless their hand is another One Ring, but then they would still need more. Okay. Ethereal Forager has arrived, makes Murktide huge, and fills my hand with juice. Force of Will, Echoing Truth. Force of Negation and Lorien Revealed. Murktide gets huge, and I draw a card. Thought Scour, not super helpful. I think there's no Ponder in the deck. I'm just trying to think what the sequence would have to be. Like, I could dig for Pyroblast or Hydroblast if I need to, or Force if I need to, with these cards at any time. I think I'm going to Brainstorm now, though. This town ain't big enough. Doesn't solve my problems. I'm going to put back Scalding Tarn, Tamiyo. I can Thought Scour those away if I need them. All right, I'm just going to pass. I can have one shot here to Thought Scour into a random draw that could be Force of Will or Hydroblast. But they would, so they could tap the ring now as one chance to get Basic Mountain plus Pyroblast. There's the basic. Oh no. Oh, okay. All right. So Thought Scour has to now hit Hydroblast or Force of Will. You get one random look. Ah, what a game. Okay. They got me. Just barely. The One Ring doing its job. Game 3. Now I'm on the play. Consign to Memory does counter Goyf triggers and the One Ring, both of which obviously are in the deck. Tamiyo feels so good when she's doing her job, but feels so bad when she's not. I don't know that I want a lot of Consign to Memory, but some is nice. Daze is better on the play, but still pretty bad, especially if the opponent plays around it at all. Okay, I'm going 0 Daze, all my Tamiyos, all my Consigns. Collector Oof. Oh, no, you should be in. Hold on. All right, cut a Tamiyo for an Oof. That turns off Chrome Mox and Treasure Tokens and the One Ring. Let's just get that in there. It's also just a 2-2, which matters, because my opponent won that game at 1 life. Access to basic land, or I can remove a creature. I am going to keep this. No Beanstalk has me slightly concerned. Wasteland, go. Opponent's on 6. Shatter Skull, tapped. Okay. That feels exploitable. Island Cycle. I'm going to get the basic, even though that makes top decking one of my green cards really shitty. Island. I could Scour myself. I think I just want to Wasteland them. They're going to play land go. That's blue deck shit. I'll punish it. They could have played that land out to protect an Ancient Tomb that they'll follow up with now. But I'll still take my chances versus the opponent who took a mulligan. Oh, what's this? They're just passing the turn. They have nothing? How is that even possible? I'm going to Brainstorm in the end step. I can use Thought Scour to clear the Brainstorm. Okay, do I want to Scour away another Scour? Okay, one of the Scours is going back. Ethereal Forager actually rips here. And I don't want to have to counter every card my opponents play. Okay, I think I will just redraw the Brainstorm and then Scour away the other Scour underneath it. Okay, draw Brainstorm, Scour this. Found another Dismember, milled over True Name. Sad to see that go. But now I can dismember multiple things if I need to at a fresh 20 life. I can fetch Hedge Maze here. City of Traders suddenly revealed. So did they keep a one-lander with like 5 Spirit Guides? What is this hand? Was the 6 bad and they just didn't want to go to 5? I force negation right on top. And then I am going to forage here over Murktide. Scour, Lorien Revealed, Brainstorm. Get the card advantage bank going. My 5th up the Beanstalk. So they probably kept a hand that was Red Source, City of Traders, then a bunch of 3-drops, and then just the Wasteland got them. Okay, drawing Misty Rainforest means I don't have to get back Lorien Revealed here. Opponent is exchanging pleasantries in the chat. Basically, it's over. GG's, your deck is cool. But until they actually hit the concede button, I will have to continue attacking with my whale. And there it is. GG's opponent. That game 2 was one for the ages, and then game 3 is just Wasteland bullshit and Legacy. Yep. So they kept Shatterskull City on a Malta 6, and then Wasteland just put them in the garbage. On to the next round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. On the draw for the final round, playing for our bread and butter 4-1 result. My hand's really good. I'm going to keep it. Underground Sea. Uh-oh. Someone to keep me honest. Ponder. That's fine. I also would have been okay with Nethergoyf. I have Dismember. I could challenge a Tamiyo, I suppose. Did not shuffle the Ponder. Okay, drew the worst land in my deck, but at least it's a land. Lorien is prepared to reveal. If I had drawn a land, like a real land there, I would have played Tamiyo. But I actually need to reveal Lorien right now. I'm going to grab another Trop, even though this is a Wasteland deck, because I want to cast this up the Beanstalk in my hand. Ooh. Who invited the fun police? You want to play in this world? You chose this. We could have just had lands. You decided to be a psycho. Polluted Delta. Classic tempo gaming back and forth, just some shit. They've got a Ponder. I don't know if this is Dimir Tempo or Reanimator, or it could be even like Bug Beans or something of that nature. I'm gonna go for something that breaks the Wasteland game. This is like an actual card they have to think about. Thoughtseize, okay. If they're about to Entomb Reanimate, they'll take Force of Will. If they're going to do anything else, they're going to take up the Beanstalk. I suppose if their follow-up is like their own Tamiyo, they might take Dismember, but I suspect up the Beanstalk's about to go. This does look like Bug Beans for me, this Dismember, pretending it's a black card. Okay, they took the Force of Will, and my Tamiyo's gone, sure. They got 4 cards left, but they only need 2 to win the game. I'm going to play my Mystic Sanctuary tapped. Mystic Sanctuary has been phenomenal throughout this league, and this is the cost of doing business to have access to that. You've got a Tamiyo. I've got a Dismember. Okay, they knew about this, so they must have days, but I'm still doing this. Oh, wow. Or they forgot. Or they just have 2 creatures in their hand and wanted to force the issue. Okay, my Beanstalk is going to resolve because I drew this daze. Please force it, please force it, please force it, please force it. Let's go! Easy money. They pitched Baleful Strix. I wonder if this is Pokemoki's mid-range Dimir deck. Alright, that was a very good exchange, a very good draw. And we might see a Murktide region here, but I am holding this town. Okay, Murktide's in. I'm going to scour myself in the end step. Build up those reserves. The pollen. Okay, I am going to analyze the pollen. I am not going to kick it, and I am going to inform my opponent that this town ain't big enough for the both of us. Okay, a temporary setback for them, but that was a bunch of cards drawn for me. We're now at 5 cards in hand to 4, 3 lands in play to 2, and I can easily analyze this pollen and find a threat if that's what the game dictates. My hope is to just play 2 up the Beanstalks onto an empty board this turn. Another Goyf. Okay. The board's not quite empty, but small enough. Okay, I am going to fetch first. I'm almost out of Trops. Don't want to draw it by accident. Beanstalk. Beanstalk. Okay. The Battle Cruiser's operational. I'm not ready for the next Murktide, though. Or, no, I can analyze the pollen for Brazen Borrower. I am ready for the next Murktide. And if they cast this Murktide, it makes their Nether Goyf into a tiny little baby. I'll Spellbomb. Fuck, that's good against my deck. Alright, are they just jacking it now? Yeah, they are. Good call. My Double Thought Scour will recoup this pretty quickly, but that was quite a good setback for them. Another bean! Alright, stay beaning. Never not. Brainstorm. Put back. Analyze the pollen and one of these lands. Tamiyo get in. And just in case this matters, I'm going to fetch now. I'll get my island. My plan is to scour some thoughts. Get this Eddie Merc crab online. They found land number 3, which makes this daze a lot better. Or worse. Okay. Tamiyo's dead. Can't scour enough thoughts in response to flip it. I go to 7. And end step scour myself. And Bowmaster would be some damage here. I would not like that. Fuck. Oh, I've dazed. It's fine. It's fine. Played around it. Walked him right in. What a sucker. Pick up Mystic Sanctuary. Do they have their own days? No. Okay. We did it all. Living the dream. I could dismember this Nether Goyf. Put myself to 2. I'm not excited about that. I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty excited about them not having another Goyf. I guess I could just play Eddie Merc. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not quite. I have to scour myself first. Scour myself. Ooh, double crabbing it. I'm bi-crabbing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now I can Mystic Sanctuary one of these spells back. and I will draw that spell when I play my crab. All right, so Force of Will on top. And now we are cooking. I would have gone to 3, not 2. That's not how math works. Okay, crab. The old Crabcestral recall. Brought to you by King of the Depths, Patreon subscriber King of the Depths. Draw that Force of Will, and then 2 additional magic cards. And they're just done. Yeah, usually when a Beanstalk triggers 3 times on one spell, it's safe to concede. Okay, this does look like some sort of Tempo Demir, whether it has Kaito or what else is going on in there. TBD. I like True Name. I hate Force of Negation. I don't think I need my Graveyard Hate against them. Echoing Truth is just, good in Murktide mirrors. Bouncing your own Murktide when you bounce their Murktide sucks, but bouncing their Murktide when you don't have one is great. I think maybe I'll shave a Daze and go in like this. There's not a lot to be done here. Let's go. Well, believe it or not, I actually think this is a good hand in the matchup. I don't think they're Reanimator, and having up the Beanstalk is busted. If I got Thought Seized, it'll be pretty bad for me. Tamiyo. Don't love that either, but okay. I think I'm going to go into cheese mode, which, even though they have a Tamiyo in play, if they don't have lands, they can't crack their clues. And I do have bounce spells in my deck that could deal with Planeswalker side. Your own Wasteland, huh? Clever. And Nile Spellbomb. All right. Pretty good sequence for having no colored mana. I think I am going to fetch basic Island here and use that to cast Thought Scour. Just going to scour now before they could play a Bowmaster. Lost a True Name Nemesis to that. Okay. They are mana screwed. I will present the Up the Beanstalk. Do they have a Force? Can't daze it. Okay, my engine is online, and my engine, I think, is better than yours right now. They can't afford to wasteland me, probably, though they also can't afford not to. I would love it if they wastelanded me. Okay, cool. We did it. And they should probably spellbomb me soon, because I am in Murktide range, if that is what they're thinking about, which clearly is not what they're thinking about. Or they must have a Force of their own, but wouldn't they have fought over Beanstalk then? Okay, Tamiyo has attacked every turn of the game, and I'm still at 19 life from the 1 damage I dealt to myself. That is the downside of Tamiyo. Edge Maze. Tropical Island. There is 1 trop left in the deck. Yeah, I can afford to lose this one. Okay, I am going to scour myself and then shove this Murktide Regent that they probably should have bombed me 2 turns over. Okay, Murktide Regent as big as I can make it. I've got a 6/6 in the way and Force of Will backup. Their hand is all spells, but they can't cast them until they find a land. Most answers to Murktide in the format cost 2. Thoughtseize. Yeah, go ahead. Dig in. See those 2 Wastelands and Scoop? That would be great. Snuff Out is a card they could have. We got the GG. All right. Yeah, just screwed by a Wasteland. Same thing that happened in the last round. Don't forget about Wasteland when you're playing Legacy, folks. A 4-1 result. Decks that King of the Depths send me tend to be kind of unusual, but he does put thought into them, and they are usually based on something and have a strong premise. I beat everyone except Eldrazi. Eldrazi was the one matchup that didn't let me get a Beanstalk going. They just killed me with shit. And everyone who wanted to go back and forth, they just got buried by beans. This is the best Ethereal Forager has been in 4 years. This league right now. No one's ever done better ever since it was printed and people didn't know how to play around it yet. Obviously, if you pair into Pyroblast or Lightning Bolts, Ethereal Forager's real bad. But on completely empty boards, the card advantage is nice. Analyze the Pollen Head moments. I don't know if 2 is the right number. It might be 1, but definitely the game where it found my Murktide to keep the pressure going after doing all my stuff. That's a clever little card to be in a deck. This town, it only ever bounced my Up the Beanstalk. I didn't get to reset a Brazen Borrower or reset a Crab or anything, but it was still good. The card advantage of bounce your thing, bounce my thing, draw a card, draw another card when I replay my thing was worth it. Just a cleverly constructed deck from King of the Depths. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.